Hi, welcome back to my channel, Scale Model Kit Review Studio, and welcome back to another installment of the FanHome Millennium Falcon. That's right, this is the studio scale Millennium Falcon from The Empire Strikes Back. It's over 3 foot in diameter. Fantastic build here, and I'm really having a blast building this kit. If you want to get this for yourself, head over to FanHome and subscribe to this today. I put a direct link in the description below. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome back to Scale Model Kit Review Studio, and welcome back to another installment of the FanHome Star Wars Build the Millennium Falcon. I am currently working on pack number 10, stages 42 through 46. Has 5 more stages here. We do a lot in this video. A lot is going to happen here, and we're going to have most of this Millennium Falcon outer platings all installed on this, and a lot of stuff is going to happen here. So it's going to take a little while to present this to you. A lot of the stuff I am going to present after it's already assembled, so I'll be assembling a lot of the things off camera, but I'll explain what I did, and if anything needs extra explanation, I'll show that to you in this video. I hope that my videos help you out and lets me make the mistakes before you make mistakes. And but it's been a lot of fun building this so far. So with my subscription, I did receive free gifts with this, and there was a free gift with this, and these gifts can vary, so it depends on when you sign up for this what gifts you'll receive. But in this case, I did receive a t-shirt here with the Millennium Falcon on it, and that's fantastic there. And we'll go ahead and look at one of the magazines all the way through. Throughout the video, I'm just going to briefly cover the instructions, but we're actually just going to go through the build process with this video just to save some time. But here's the magazine. They do give us Starship fact file articles, secrets of spaceflight, and of course our build instructions here. In this case, we'll be working on some of the hull plating, and they did give us a tap and die set. It's actually a tap set for the screws, and I'll explain that. And we'll be detailing the another recess. We already did one already, but this is the other one we'll be detailing. Go ahead and show you the parts that came with this pack. Here's 42. Stage 43. Stage 44. Stage 45. And the last one, stage 46. Let's get started. And beginning with stage 42, and here's the parts that are provided with 42. And like I mentioned earlier, we did get thread cutting tap, and apparently some folks have had problems with getting their screws started in the framing parts. The framing parts already have the threads in them, but apparently some of the screws have a hard time getting threaded in. Now you really don't have to use any oil whatsoever on these screws. They should just thread in. So they did give us this tap if you're having problems with that. I did not incur any problems with the screws going into the threads on those frame parts. And we'll look at the parts here in a second, but here's the order of assembly for this. The detailed recess that we're going to assemble here, and they're numbered, and then this is where they correspond to, and you want to install them in that order. Okay, let me get the parts. I'll be right back. And excuse my air conditioner. It is hot here in southern Arizona. We've had temperatures well over 100 degrees each day, so I'm definitely running the air conditioner in the background along with the ceiling fan. So 42 is right here. Let's take these out and get a closer look. Here's a close-up of those parts, and here's more of the hull plating there, and one of the recesses. This is cool here how this is cut out. Very nice. And once again, our parts. And like always, I'll go ahead and use a Sharpie, and I'll put a 42 on the back of that so I know what stage I received that part. And here is our tap to help cut those threads onto framing parts if needed. And since this plastic is made of ABS, I'll be using this ABS glue to glue all my parts on here. And here's that recess. We're going to glue in all the pipe work and some of the greebles inside of this. Follow the instructions and install them by sequence 1 through 7. I do recommend a good high quality pair of sprue cutters, and I'll put a link down below to this one right here. All the pipes and greebles were glued in, and I loved how this one glued in from the back side here, but that is very nice there. And now they go ahead and recommend that you paint this, so I am going to go ahead and paint this, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get done. I'll be right back. And there you go. I used a spray can of high build primer for this, flat black, and I'll go ahead and weather and highlight this a little bit later, but that's good enough for now. So that completes stage 42. Let's head over and get started on stage 43. So for stage 43, these are the parts we received right there. Hull plating, some details for, once again, one of the gunner seats, some screws, and this time we're going to fit the forward lower plates. We're going to be putting some magnets and some metal rods for the landing gear covers. Let me get the parts. I'll be right back. Here's the parts for 43. Let's get a closer look. Here's a close-up of those parts. Here's the hull plating for the landing gear opening, and of course we have the door for that to close it off if you want to have in-flight mode for the Millennium Falcon. We also received magnets and metal pins for the magnets, and we received the screws which have a flange on them for mounting all the hull plating to the frames, and another one of the gunner seats. We're going to assemble that off camera, and we're going to do that the next stage, not this stage here. And here's all the parts laid out just like the instructions. We have the 2 landing gear bays on each side here with the cover plates. Cover plate for the center part here also, and that's how they are. We also have the pins and the magnets. We retrieved the pins and the magnets from the previous stage, previous pack, 41 I believe it was. I'll be gluing the pins with super glue to these parts right here, and they'll be completely flush and recessed. And then the magnets themselves, same thing, super glued in there. Paying attention to how they are magnetized so that they'll work with the pins. Here's our steel pin and our magnet. We want to make sure that the magnet is attracted to the steel pin in the right direction. Just like that. And then we'll take and leave it on there. We'll put some glue on the panel and we'll attach the pin to the panel. Just like that. And here's the steel rods pressed in place and super glued in. And magnets super glued in also. And it goes down just like that. And there you go, all the panels are inserted with the magnets. Looks great. The super glue I used is the Loctite super glue. And I used some super glue accelerator Instaset. And that completes stage 43. Let's head over and get started on stage 44. Stage 44, here's the parts we received. We received the gun control, the turret assembly, and some of the machinery parts. And for the machinery parts, you want to follow the illustration here and install them 1 through 8, just like illustrated. And we're not going to use that part right there. We're going to leave that on the sprue. And those parts will get planted here, 1 through 8. I'll do that off camera and I'll show you the result. And once again, I'll assemble another gun turret. I did that in a previous pack, so that will also be done off camera and I'll show you the results with that. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. Here's the parts for stage 44. Let's get a closer look. And here's a closer look at those parts. Another part of the hull plating there. I marked it with a 44. The gun turret parts, we've seen what those look like before. The machinery parts, LED light. Again, here's a close-up of the parts on the sprue. 1 through 8, you want to install them in that order. And that's where they get planted to on the machinery component. 1 through 8. I'll do this off camera and I'll be right back. Here's a close-up of the sprue. And a close-up of the machinery base. And there's the machinery put together. Very good. And the other part, we'll put that aside for safekeeping. Now I'll go ahead and assemble the gun controls, and I'm going to do those off camera, but this is the sprue we received in the previous stage, stage 43. I'll be right back when it's complete. And I've completed the gun controls. Looks good. And if you want to know how to do this, head over to my previous pack number 9, and I showed you step by step how this was accomplished. And that completes stage 44. Let's head over and do stage 45. And here's stage 45. Received another part of the hull plating and more machinery parts along with the house hull plating. And again, just like before, we're going to detail out the machinery here step by step, adding parts 1 through 8 in order. Then I'm going to work on the housing details, adding those parts 1 through 5 in order. Let's look at the parts. Here's the parts for 45. Let's get a closer look. Here's a close-up of those parts. Another piece of hull plating, landing gear component there. More associated parts with that. The machinery, we already built one of those, and the housing. Like I said, I'll go ahead and assemble the machinery and the housing off camera, and I'll be right back. And there it is, complete. Looks great. And our extra part, we'll put that aside in safekeeping. We'll be adding details to the housing. That's this right here. And here are those greebles. Here's the details for the housing. I'll get it assembled and I'll be right back. And the housing is completed. That's what that looks like there. And we had some leftover greebles. I'll put those in a safe place. And that's all I do with stage 45. Let's head over and do the final stage for this pack, stage 46. And welcome back to the final stage for pack 10, stage 46. Finally, we are here. We're going to start assembling these hull plating panels onto the frames. So there's a few things we need to discuss here before I do this. A lot of this I'm not going to do on camera. I'm going to show you what I've completed at the end as far as putting those on. I'm going to take my time with it. You can see on the left here are the parts we received with this stage, but none of that's going to be assembled in this stage. These parts will be assembled in the next pack that we receive. But collecting the parts here, we're going to start assembling all the hull framing parts, and I'll give you a close-up of those here in a little bit. But what they say, this stage involves fitting 24 hull panels, which are supplied between issues 9 and 42. So start by getting these together. Okay, so I'll do that. And I do have close-ups of this and a close-up of these items right here. I can show you, I'll give screen grabs and show those right now. Each of the hull panels have mounting lugs that fit into the holes in the metal frames. They will only fit in one place, so it is important that you have assembled the framework correctly. There are a few frames that are interchangeable but are mirror images of each other. Before you start, it's worth checking that frames BP13, BP18, BP33, and BP38, which are in highlighted areas in yellow, are set in their correct locations. Also ensure that all frame joins are secure before you start, meaning you want to have all those screws in tight. Use the self-tapping screws that have a flange on them. We know about those. Those are the silver screws. Also, the blueprint that came with issue 1 shows you the correct positions of all the hull frames and each plating panel, so you may find this useful as a reference. And we'll begin. So, fitting the first hull panels, completing the first quarter, completing the first half, preparing the engine bay area, and completing the assembly. So it should look like this on the bottom when we're done. Let's look at the parts that came with this pack with stage 46. Here's stage 46 parts. Let's get a closer look. Here's a close-up of those parts. Here's the whole plating for the turret and the parts associated with that, along with the window. Some more screws for this, and the laser cannon. I'm going to leave them in the bag. When I go to build this, I'll lay out all the parts for you so you'll know what they all look like. Okay, let's get started on this. Let me bring over the frames and we'll do a check to make sure all of our panels are installed the way they should be. I'll be right back. Here's the metal frames. laid out just like the instructions show them, and with the ramp on top. And they want us to look at these 4 quadrants right here, right here, right here, and right there. On the right side, note that you do have these brackets running up here. The other side does not have that. However, the other side has these small ones, and that's correct there. So I think we look good. I'm looking at everything else, and I'm ready to start throwing on the panels. The photograph below shows all 24 hull panels that you'll need to assemble. The numbers printed on top are the part numbers that are molded on each one. These panels have been laid out in the order that they need to be fitted, which makes the assembly easier to follow. But it isn't essential to do this, as the step-by-step instructions give all the part numbers and show you how to fit each one in turn. You may also find it useful to refer to the blueprint that came with issue 1, as this shows where each panel fits on the lower hull. You'll also need 120 silver self-tapping screws. Those are the ones with the flanges on them. Although a few spares may be useful in case you drop any. The first part is acquiring and installing 4 riffing bolts, and these are the M6 65mm or longer bolts. You can find those at the hardware store, or they will supply them in issue 54, and that will help support the frame while you install these panels on. I'm going to be supporting the frame on my lap and being very careful about it as I do this. The first 4 panels that will go on is number 1, number 10, number 9, and number 11, in that order. Okay, number 1 is installed. Go over here by the ramp and we'll see that number 10 is installed, number 9 is installed, and number 11 is installed. On number 10, there is a lug that protrudes through and no screw goes into that. The next 4 to get installed is number 12, number 8, number 7, and number 6, in that order. And the instructions show that the first quarter of the plating has been installed with number 12. We still need to put in the other 3 plates I pointed out earlier. And the other 3 panels were put down, number 8, number 7, and number 6. Let's go to the next 4 panels. The next 4 panels, number 4, number 5, number 3, and number 25, in that order. And the first half is complete. I think it looks great. I still need to install panel 25 that I identified earlier. Panels 4, 5, and 3 were installed. And panel 25 is installed. Let's look at the next 4 panels we're going to install next. The next 4 panels I'm going to install are 26, 24, 22, and 21, in that order. "24, 26, 22, and 21 were installed. 21 was a little bit tight. It had to go underneath a lip here, so be aware of that. And kind of has a little curve to it to get everything to line up with the lugs there. So let's look at the next 4 panels to install. The next 4 panels, 19, 17, 20, and 23, in that order. Those 4 plates are installed, 19, 20, 17, and then way over here, 23, the smaller curved piece. Now we just have 4 more platings to install. Let's see what they look like. Okay, the last 4 panels to get installed, 18, 16, 14, and 15, in that order. I went ahead and put in 18, 16, and 14. I'll show you those here in a second. I just wanted to film the last panel going in for this stage. And that's panel 15. Gonna go ahead and slide this in. Nice. 4 more screws. Panel 18 was put in, 16 was put in, 14 was put in, and the last one, 15. Fantastic. And there you go. Wow, I've looked forward to this for a long time, finally putting these panels on, and it looks fantastic. I'm very pleased. I really didn't have any issues putting any of the panels on. As long as you follow the instructions step by step, you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. Wow, I'm so relieved with that. So that completes stage 46, and that completes pack number 10. That is fantastic. We're going to take some of these other panels and fit them in place to see what they would look like. That's what that looks like there. And we have some of the landing gear stuff going on here somewhere. Right there. And right there. Right there. And oops. And right there. Wow. That's awesome. I hope my video was helpful to you. I had a blast doing this, of course. And it's a fantastic build. Thank you all for joining me on my channel with this build. This has been a sheer pleasure to do, and I highly recommend it. Head over to FanHome and subscribe to this Millennium Falcon today. Remember, it's the exact replica of the 3-foot Millennium Falcon from The Empire Strikes Back. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel and smash that like button. Happy modeling, everybody, and we will see you on Pack 11. Take care.